Well, this Women's History Month, we're continuing to share the stories of Iowa women who have paved the ways in many areas. Medicine, social justice, tonight, outer space. I had a chance to speak with astronaut Peggy Whitson. She grew up in the small town of Beaconsfield in southern Iowa. Only 32 people lived there when she was a kid. Now she is a global leader in space exploration.
Do you ever think from an Iowa farm you could get to outer space?
Well, I don't know that I actually really believed it. I grew up seeing a lot more cattle and hogs than I ever saw people.
But the responsibility of tending to those cattle and hogs in a tiny town in southern Iowa just might be what ended up launching Peggy Whitson into a career among the stars instead of cows.
Being raised on a family farm gives you an incredible work ethic.
You could say the stars aligned in 1978, the year she graduated from high school. It's also the year NASA picked its first female astronaut. Peggy took notice.
So I thought, hey, maybe I can do this.
And she did, but it took a lot of work and a lot of rejection. After she earned her PhD, she applied to be an astronaut each application cycle for 10 years, and she got rejected for a decade.
It's interesting to me, though, and looking back, that I can say that those 10 years are the years where I learned a lot about being a leader. That's when I learned all these skills that I think then made me, qualified to be selected as the first female commander on board the ISS and qualified to become the first female chief of the astronaut office.
She's also spent the most time in space out of any U.S. astronaut and any woman worldwide. She's done all this in a time when women are still the minority in space exploration. Whitson says only 35% of astronaut applicants she sees are women.
Was there something always inherent in you that allowed you to say, there's no women around, but I'm doing this? Or is it something that you developed over the years?
Well, a little bit is I don't think I've ever defined myself by gender. I've always just, this is what I want to do. And obviously it wasn't an easy path, but I think my impression was all I had to do was my absolute very best. And theoretically, make it better than everybody else's in the process.
You've been looking at the world, you've been outside of it. How do you find that your perspective differs from other people in regards to the day-to-day drudgery of life here on Earth, but especially during a pandemic?
Well, I think, the important thing to remember, even on board the space station, you have to clean the vents and fix the toilets and over and over and over again. And on board the space station, it was easy for me to feel like I was part of something much bigger than just myself, because I'm helping keep space station alive. I'm helping keep space exploration alive, and I'm part of that process. I think as part of the pandemic, we have to look for that bigger picture the same way. And that bigger picture is saving lives and, trying to keep as many people healthy as possible. And these are very much bigger picture goals. And I think you have to keep that what's bigger than me in mind.
So if there are young women watching this, young women in Iowa, what would you like to tell them?
I would like to tell them that you can live your dreams. I'm proof of that, because, even a farm girl can become an astronaut. So you can become anything that you want or dream of. It does require a few things. Number one, it requires you to find a passion. You have to know what it is that you want. You have to know what drives you and motivates you. And then number two, you've got to work really, really hard, and it'll happen.
I want to thank Peggy for taking the time to speak with me. She was so humble and really inspiring. One of my favorite interviews I've ever done.